It's that time again where we take a look at anime based off of video games, and this time around we are going to take a look at Sonic the Hedgehog.
When you take a look at the history of video games, how could you forget talking about Sonic the Hedgehog? Sonic the Hedgehog was developed by Hirokazu Yasuhara in 1991 for the Sega Mega Drive, aka the Sega Genesis. Since then, our Speedy Blue friend has become a franchise with multiple games, toys, and comic books. There were also two American cartoon TV series, a surreal, whacked-out comedy show called The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was shown on weekday mornings, and my personal favorite, an action drama aptly called Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic Sat AM, which was shown on Saturday mornings. There was also a European Sonic cartoon called Sonic Underground. The less we talk about that, the better. And an anime film called Sonic the Hedgehog the Movie.
Now let's get one thing straight here. Even though it is called Sonic the Hedgehog the Movie, it really didn't start out that way.
Sonic the Hedgehog the Movie is actually a 2-episode OVA series that was very loosely based off of Sonic CD that was released in Japan in 1996. ADV picked up the rights for it in 1999 and spliced the 2 episodes together as a direct-to-video film. Now, before we dive right into Sonic the Hedgehog the Movie, you might want to know what an OVA is. OVA stands for Original Video Animation, which is essentially a direct-to-video release. OVAs are usually used for short original anime series, i.e. Fooly Cooly, direct-to-video exclusive material for a popular anime TV series, or anime used for promotional purposes.
But most of the time, OVAs are used to distribute that kind of anime, of which we will not be taking a look at. But I've kept you waiting long enough. It's time to take a look at Sonic the Hedgehog the Movie.
So our story begins with a robotic replica of Sonic as Dr. Robotnik looks on, pleased by his new accomplishment.
Yeah, I know he's called by his original Japanese name Dr. Eggman nowadays, but for some reason I'm still used to calling him Dr. Robotnik.
So after the title sequence, we are introduced to our main heroes, Sonic and Tails, as they prepare for a relaxing day at the beach.
Now, to be honest, it did take me a while to get used to a Sonic that was not voiced by Jaleel White. Kind of like it took us a while to get used to a Captain Kirk that was not played by William Shatner.
That all changes when an owl with some sort of rocket-powered hover car starts messing things up. After Sonic helps the owl escape in one of the coolest scenes ever, he gives Sonic a message that the president wants to see him immediately.
Odd that President Obama would want to see a talking blue hedgehog that runs fast, but that's besides the point.
So as Sonic and Tails arrive, they are confronted by Dr. Robotnik, who apparently is holding the unnamed president and his daughter Sarah hostage, and uses them to force Sonic into listening to Robotnik's speech about how one of his robotic inventions went rogue, took over his fortress, sabotaged the fortress's reactor, and if Sonic doesn't do something about it, Planet Freedom will be destroyed or some crap like that.
Wait a minute, Planet Freedom? Don't tell me that's all you can come up with. At least Planet Mobius sounds like a more creative name for a planet.
Sonic initially objects, but reluctantly follows Robotnik's advice and heads towards the reactor. Meanwhile, Dr. Robotnik decides to kidnap the president's daughter Sarah as collateral to make sure Sonic does his job.
Oh boy, this character. let's talk about this character for a couple minutes, shall we?
First off, what the hell happened to Amy Rose? She has been a mainstay in the series since Sonic CD, in which this movie was supposedly based off of, and she gets replaced by this character who is probably the most annoying original character I have ever seen. Yes, even more annoying than Scratch and Grounder. All she ever does is yell and scream and shout out her lines.
And she means so little to the story. If you were to completely remove her from this film, it would make little to no difference. And comparing her to Scratch and Grounder is quite the accomplishment.
Meanwhile, Sonic and Tails get caught in a bizarre storm and end up crashing their plane into the ground, which means we get to have some good old-fashioned Sonic on foot action.
Oh, hell yeah!
Sonic and Tails finally make it to the outskirts of Robotnik's fortress, which oddly enough looks like New York City sinking into the ocean.
I guess global warming wasn't a bunch of hoopla after all.
We were warned this would happen and we didn't listen. We didn't listen!
But a giant robot replica of Dr. Robotnik appears and engages Sonic and Tails in a rather one-sided fight. All seems to be lost until Knuckles suddenly shows up.
Ah yes, the last second save. Always the great equalizer.
Sonic and Tails thank Knuckles for helping them, and Knuckles offers to help them stop the malfunctioning generator. And so episode 1 ends with our heroes making their way to Dr. Robotnik's fortress, which kind of looks like an amusement park built in his image for some reason.
So that's what Coney Island looks like in the future. I gotta admit, I kind of like what Robotnik's done with the place.
The second episode begins with our heroes standing at the entrance to Robotnik's fortress. Thus, I will give Sonic the Hedgehog the movie an overall rating of 5 out of 10.
However, there is the much newer Sonic the Hedgehog anime known as Sonic X. You know what? Let's wait until next time till we review that travesty. Until then, this is the American Anime Otaku signing out.